Hi, I'm Chandra. Welcome to my channel. I'm going to be talking about the first stage of my process of working with shipping containers. I was sitting in a tiny room in Glasgow overlooking the Clyde, and I had recently started dating someone in Berlin that I'd met over the holidays. This wasn't really a long distance relationship. It was more of an opportunity to remember what it was like to date because I hadn't been dating for a while after a breakup. We were talking about the PhD I was about to embark upon. I had just finished my Master of Philosophy in Theology and Creative Practice. I had recently become part of the Glasgow Refugee and Asylum Network under its UNESCO umbrella for the rights of women and children and language acquisition for my project, the Universal Fairytale. Uh, the Universal Fairytale is a storytelling project which I began at the time of the Iraqi invasion, the weapons of mass destruction with no proof invasion, an invasion under which my life changed drastically not in Glasgow. I was in Amsterdam at the time. My sons were quite small. And I had had a devastating accident, which left me unable to walk on crutches and permanently dealing with disability issues. So, as I was bedridden, trying to heal the bones that had broken my foot off of my leg, I was devastated to see that we were going to war. I was also in one of hundreds of housing crises that I had been in over the course of my adult life. Housing crises which have been magnified by the responsibilities required to parent and raise children and the needs of children, no matter what the situation they were born into. I have always been interested in housing. When I was in my late teens and early 20s in St. Louis, I became fascinated by Sullivan buildings. There was a building in downtown St. Louis near Club 1227, legendary club, really brilliant club. And this building by Sullivan was on the city's rolls as a property that you could buy for peanuts, literally peanuts, the kind of peanuts that I could come up with and that I was working on coming up with. Sullivan was one of the teachers of Frank Lloyd Wright, and he was fascinated by jazz. And he built this building to have perfect acoustics for jazz. The building was sublimely beautiful, even in its derelict state. Excuse me. And I had wanted this building. I had worked hard to come up with money for this building and create a business plan at 21 for how I could do it. So that was 25 years before this moment in Glasgow when I'm sitting there with my beautiful teacup that Christina had given me at the end of my master's in creative practice at Glasgow School of Art. And I'm looking out the window. I'm thinking about the PhD. I am in a moment of housing where I have sacrificed everything to make sure that my sons had what they needed and housing in Germany where they were studying so that they could be in positions where they could build their careers and not worry about working part time after the impoverished childhoods that they'd had where they were culture rich, cash poor. I wanted to make sure that leading into this next stage of their lives, they had stability. Housing is stability, freedom to concentrate on your studies and the extracurriculars that really build your career is something that often people in poverty or or just people without financial literacy don't do the things like the unpaid internships because they're unpaid, or they don't branch out into all of the areas of mystery and discovery that they could branch out into because there's this constant need to subsist. And there is also a lack of understanding as to the value. Because, on the one hand, yes, interns are exploited. I've been an intern, many of us have been an intern. On some levels, yes, an intern is exploited. On other levels, I think about some of my favorite designers. Oh, I forget her name, but she brought out the Louis Vuitton floral. And or was it Louis Vuitton? I can't remember which design house, but she had like four choices of which internship to take. Some of these were paid, some of these were unpaid. In the end, she went with the unpaid internship, which was the pivot point that she then became able to run one of the major design houses in the world. And although her work wasn't necessarily appreciated on the trend level, the patterns that she introduced to the market have had an ongoing, incredibly viable financial success and are deeply loved. This is a legacy. And part of that was based on an internship that she was not paid for and was based on a kind of frivolous reason of the guy she was dating lived nearby. But you can make these kinds of choices when you don't have to worry financially about where you're going to lay your head and paying for it. So I made a lot of sacrifices. And the teacup was almost the size of this tiny little room that I had in Glasgow. So this person I was dating mentioned that a friend worked at a private school in Potsdam, which they had for a couple of years been complaining about needing someone who would claim these 40 shipping containers, which had originally been the school. What would you do if someone said, I can facilitate contact with this person and you could acquire these shipping containers? As a person who was planning on doing a PhD with these shipping containers as the basis of the research into cultural capital and creating space for migrants and refugees to come together collectively for language assimilation, language sharing, culture sharing, and soft diplomacy, this was a dream come true. It was a dream which, as things progressed, definitely had nightmare elements, as many dreams do. But it's hard to say no to this. So I said yes. Originally, these shipping containers, maybe it was like 22, but no, it was 40 because some of them were quite small. I had no idea uh, exactly how to manage this project. I had taken on project management coursework and had done some level 4 project management training, and that basically left me armed with the ability, patience, love, and fascination for a good Gantt chart and a more than healthy relationship to Trello and all of the add-on features to Trello. And as always, just a standard spreadsheet on the side for figuring out things. So this document is the basic layout for how the school had taken these reclaimed shipping containers some 20 odd years ago and fashioned them into a cute little private school for children that only play with wood toys and wax and sing flower fairy songs on the countryside. A very expensive school, but this was their beginnings. And this day and age, they wanted to get rid of this space in a sustainable, recycled way so that they could create a modern gymnasium in the spot. So I went to meet with the headmistress. I brought my handy team members along, and I was armed with the knowledge from a teacher who had been in close contact with the principal of this school, who gave me some insider information that at this point they were desperate enough about removing these shipping containers that they were even willing to pay someone to come and collect them. So I was in with a really good chance, and there would be support. So I felt ready to make this leap. In the meeting, we discussed things like tools, how are the shipping containers connected, what actually needs to happen for me to be able to block off these shipping containers and get going. The director and the head of maintenance and another of the head teachers assured me that this was going to be a labor intensive job and that it would basically be sledgehammers to the walls to break down the drywall paint layer and reveal the insulation wire framing beneath. And we were assured that they could provide some of this basic tools, but not the labor. That would be up to me to organize. And they said, let's get going. Let's get you some keys so you can have access. We asked about facilities for toilets and washing our hands and faces. Where can we sit down to eat? And we made an arrangement that when I get to another part of this conversation, I'll be able to reflectively present what happened next, how the whole project progressed, things that I learned along the way. But at this point, we were looking at a major acquisition, an incredibly helpful acquisition that would allow me to not only create space for my project workshops, but it would also allow me to leave satellite workspaces for my storytelling kits, which are basically a storytelling kit is an educational packet which allows anyone the opportunity to work with this open source material and to share it educationally with not meals, with lessons that I've planned that can then be carried out by the person. And with so many units, it would give me the opportunity to develop strategic partnerships around the world so that I could fit out a number of these containers and they could go on tour in perpetuity over the course of my lifetime and beyond. They would actually be a legacy for my work. They would be a major source of outreach for my work. So, yeah, I was fully in, I was optimistic, and it was a huge challenge. Um, I would do it again. I can say that with what I know now, I would do it again. And yes, I would change literally everything from day one to do it again. I think I might even look for a situation and way of doing it again. Not here, not in Germany, not even my body belongs in Germany. I would do it elsewhere in a more receptive climate where NGOs are a little bit less of means of appropriating and neo-colonial activity. But okay, that's another topic. Um, so yeah, we saw the layout in the meeting, and then we went for a walk and we got to see what the actual space was. We had walked right past it. I had had no idea that this ugly little salmon colored building was actually a series of shipping containers with the walls knocked out, turned into a cozy little school. I had no idea. Looking at the structure with what I now know, this was I was in thesis pending, waiting for reviews on my master of philosophy and theology at the point that we went to view this. It was winter, it was cold outside, and I understood the bones of a building, but my understanding of means to an end of achieving passive heating and cooling, it was really new knowledge for me at that point. So, seeing this, I didn't really understand what all we were going to be working with. But let's take a quick tour of the building and then we'll get to everything else in the next couple of videos. So it's a pretty big building, and we now have the option of stepping inside and realizing just how all of this space could be used and potential cooperations where we could trade the shipping containers for help with dismantling the structure and potential help of acquiring space for them, because space is always a big problem as peoples who haven't necessarily had ownership of land and who come from marginalized groups in our native country. I was incredibly ignorant and naive about the importance of space and place and all the barriers that I was about to experience. But when you look at this place, it's nothing but a resource of building materials, salvageable building materials. And this kind of salvage action is incredibly expensive. There's no cheap way of doing this. It's labor intensive. You have to be working inside of a different type of economy. This would be the inception moment for me of when I shifted from my small view of just how do I get a home? How do I just get a little workshop and a workspace to, okay, this is the thing of vision. And seeing all of the plumbing fixtures for small people, for a school, the wall structures, the lighting structures. There was even shower and baths, and there were wooden doors and light fixtures, everything in miniature because this is a kindergarten, but everything was there to be played with and worked with. It was really an exciting opportunity. So, thank you for listening thus far, and I will see you tomorrow with more about this process. My name is Chandra, and I am recording videos daily. And thanks for your patience while I gather my voice.